Hello and welcome to the June edition of the Agile Austin Product and AI SIG. We're so fortunate to have Ravi Verma here today, and even more so to have all of you that are joining with us. Thank you for your presence today, and we're hopefully going to make this quite interactive because Ravi's going to be talking about something we're all curious about, which is unlocking product management with generative AI. This is a topic that comes up a lot in this SIG, and we've gotten lots of different perspectives. I don't know that you can get too many perspectives about this, but everybody has a different take and different samples, and we're all learning together. So great to have Ravi. I'll talk a little bit more about Ravi in a moment. Also, let me just go through a little bit about Agile Austin. And so you see, here's our mission. Been doing this for quite some time. Agile Austin's been around. Both Vishal and I have been here since 2007. So it's coming up on 20 years, believe it or not. We have a board of directors, and there's an active election right now. So you see some of the folks that are our current set of board of director members. You too can be a board of director member if you'd like to. You also can choose to sponsor Agile Austin and become a member. Membership has a few benefits. It's $35 a year, and you can see those. And if you're curious, you can ask Vishal and I about those. There's actually 6 meetups right now. Sometimes there's more than that, but right now we got about 6. You'll see we are in the lower left, product and AI, but there's leaders, lean Kanban, book club, Agile at Scale, and Agile coaching. In addition to the Keep Keep Austin Agile conference, which happened I think in April. And actually, we're really lucky to have Ravi. Actually, Ravi is presenting the content that he and Don McGreal delivered at. Actually, I guess Don delivered at Keep Austin Agile, but Ravi was part of the content creation. We have a couple of key sponsors here. Agile Velocity, platinum sponsor for well over a decade. ResumeX is one of our newer sponsors, and Ad Maloria Coaching. Thank you to our sponsors. And part of one of those membership benefits that you get is a chance to get a professional development scholarship. Again, reach out to me if you've got a question. And Agile Velocity, one of our sponsors I mentioned, has a 15% off discount for all public workshops. And if you're interested in volunteering, all of this happens through volunteer work. There's many people in this room that I see who have been volunteers at Agile Austin in the past, and you're welcome to become one again if you'd like to. Just a little bit about Vishal and I, who are the co-sig leaders. We've been around since 2007, and this is what we do in our day jobs. And our SIG here is really the intersection of product, Agile, AI, how those all come together. And we have a Slack community. If you're here and you're curious and you want to be part of the Slack community, just reach out to me, and I'll put a note in the bottom. You can actually be part of it without being a member. Upcoming events. Pretty excited. The president of Product Camp Austin and a serial entrepreneur, Arturo Pena, is going to be talking about building in the age of AI noise. So somewhat of a similar topic. August is our I don't want to say it's highly unpopular, but we typically have a lot of people go on vacation during late August. And so we have some lightning topics, retrospective, and then we're looking at building out the program for the rest of the year. Love to have you, if you're here, talk about what you've learned. You do not need to be any sort of person except somebody who's learned something and wants to share it. So please reach out to either Vishal or I. Today, we're going to have Ravi Verma talking about unlocking product management with generative AI. I won't read this because you can, but what I will do is talk a little bit about Ravi. I'm just going to read his biography, which you might have seen in the meeting invite. He is the founder, CEO, and chief org whisperer. He excels at rolling out, expanding, and refining agile software delivery methods. Knack for turning computer-savvy engineers into outstanding collaborative team members. He also guides forward-thinking tech experts in evolving into motivational leaders. He equips organizations with the skills to embrace and spearhead change rather than shying away from or opposing it. So very excited to have you here, Ravi. There's a picture of you. But more important than that, I'm going to stop sharing and you can take the floor. And
Can you guys hear me? How's the audio?
Good.
Very good. Thank you. going to share my.
Go ahead. Yep.
Gonna have to. Okay, can I replace your share?
Yep. I think you can.
All right. Share my screen. Oh, wrong screen. Are you seeing a title slide, Unlocking Product Management with Gen AI? All right, very good. If you see me looking in different directions, couple of monitors here, not multitasking. All right, so I saw a bunch of questions. Some I might answer, some I might not. So give me 1 second. A practical and actionable workflow, that's from Roger. I might be able to do that. What are the biggest limitations you've encountered? I'm going to cover that. Any success stories with having AI evaluate backlog items against roadmaps? We can talk about that if time permits, but that's not something I'll be able to cover in today's session, but happy to continue the conversation offline. Are there any specific models which are better for product management? I've only been working with OpenAI and with a custom set of custom bots that have been created with ResumeX. So I don't have the ability to, compare contrast Gemini and Perplexity and Claude and all that. So I apologize. That's not something. So that's a list of questions on the Zoom chat window. I'd love for this to be interactive. If you feel called upon to share something, ask a question, let me know. If it's better handled later on, I will let you know. But I hate hearing the sound of my own voice. I'm the most boring person I know. So it would be nice if I heard your voice instead. All right, so let me get started. Think about any product project you've been part of, which was close to a beginning of a completely new product or a beginning of a new release. What do you feel are the most important questions that Agile product managers must answer at the start of a new product or a new release? You can either speak up or if you have the muting, unmuting issue, just type your answers in the chat window. What problem are we solving? Who are we making it for? Why? For the purpose? What does success look like? I wish I knew. That's my problem. All right. How are we going to tell people about it? How will we measure success? All right, great questions. Here is what constraints must we work within? Very cool. Here is my list. Success is equal to value delivery. So here is my list. By the way, you might see some influences in my ideas. One of the biggest influences you might see, I'm hoping in today's conversation, is the influence of systems coaching and coactive coaching. So I'm a certified professional coactive coach trained through the Coactive Institute. And one of the best things I learned in the field of coaching is we are challenged to ask powerful open-ended questions. And we were told that the best open-ended question is probably 7 words or less that makes the client think, never thought about that. So here are some open-ended questions. What do we want? Who do we want it for? Why does it matter? How will we do it? How will we know we did it? Where do we start? So based on 26 years in software product development, these are some questions that I wish we had asked and very often go unanswered when we are starting a new product or we are starting a new release for an existing product. Based on your experience, which of these have you found to be the most challenging question or the most neglected question? Yeah, from Amanda, where do we start? And perhaps, thank you, Amanda, why doesn't get asked enough? Yeah, why? Why does it matter? Matt saying, see, why does it matter? Yeah, very often we get sucked into becoming dumb order takers, Jira implementers, where it's like just feature after feature, just keep moving Jira tickets, and then get so fixated on that activity-based thinking, you forget the why. So here's the perspective that I have, that I would like to share with you today. some ways to answer it. So the company that I am a trainer with called Resumex, this is their first workshop, the outline of their first workshop. And the artifact that's created at the end of the workshop is called a product strategy playbook. And today I'm going to give you a sneak peek into this workshop and try a few of these bots. But the Resumex perspective is that you start by saying, what do we want? You have a product vision. You go to who do we want it for? Who are the people who are going to be served by our product or service? You define some proto personas that you have to go and then validate using user research. Why does it matter? You try to empathize with them. You try to ask them, what are your pains? What are your gains? What are your unmet needs? And you try to keep their unmet needs front and center whenever you're trying to make any decision and you're resolving any conflict. So that's the why. What are the jobs that they need to do to address their unmet needs? Now, how are we going to convert this high-level idea, the vision, our desire to serve our customers and users? How are we going to build a product, a viable product within our constraints? One of the questions someone asked on the Zoom chat was, how do we work within the constraints? You can create a value proposition which will tie the jobs to be done, the pains and gains of your customers and users back to offerings in your product. You create a business model which creates some kind of a frame of constraints around which you've got to work and ties everything together on a one-pager. How will we know we are successful? You can have a measurable product goal. We choose an approach based on the Franklin Covey 4 disciplines of execution, which is a widely important goal. You have a start line, you have a finish line, you have a deadline. You have a bunch of leading indicators that will tell you, are you making progress towards your lag or not? And if not, it enables transparency, inspection, adaptation, empirical product management, where you compare, contrast the delta between targets and actuals, unpack some learning, make the next best adjustment, and rinse and repeat. And finally, where do we start? Create a high-level backlog, product backlog, or a feature list, organize it into some affinity groups, and execute. So this is our approach in terms of how you take these 6 big high-level questions, which should be answered at the start of a release or a new product, and tying back to a step-by-step playbook with artifacts that can help you get started. And I'm sorry that the font, so I messed up. I'm going to make many mistakes during the course of this. This was my first mistake. So I apologize that the font is very small. What I try and do is maybe I will try and increase the font size or give you some references so that it's more legible. Okay. I want to pause and get some feedback, eat my own dog food. Give me some feedback. Which of these have you used, which resonates, which doesn't, in terms of the product strategy playbook? Vision, goal, metrics, proto personas, empathy map, jobs to be done, value proposition canvas, a business model. We are going to use lean canvas, like a feature list, organized in affinity groups. Yes, sounds a bit like a lean canvas. So number 9 is actually going to be a lean canvas. And all of these, most of these actually contribute to different cells of the lean canvas. So these are stepping stones. Steps 1 to 7 are stepping stones to building the lean canvas. All right, number 8 and number 2. Okay, so let me get started. I'll tell you what approach we're going to use. We are already at the 20-minute mark. I think this is a 60-minute meetup. So I want to give control back at the 5-minute mark. So we probably just have 30 minutes left. So here's what I'm going to try and do. I'll show you an empty playbook, which our customers or users would have at the start of using our bots. I'm going to demo as many bots as I can within our time constraints. When we reach the end of our, when we're approaching the end of our time, I'm going to pause. I'm going to fast forward, show you what a completed playbook would look like, talk about the 7 risks of using generative AI in product management, give you 7 risk management techniques, some Q&A, and then next steps. So this is a high-level roadmap of what we are going to cover today. Anytime, if you have questions, if you are unmuted, speak up. Otherwise, Matt, would you or other co-organizers be willing to monitor the chat and just interrupt me if you see a message that I don't see?
Will do.
Okay, thank you. All right. So the scaffolding of the house, the framework of the house, this is what I recommend to my clients, my students. We start by creating an empty playbook. We have placeholders for the vision, product goal, leading indicators, empathy map, proto personas, jobs to be done, value proposition, lean canvas, and a feature list that is organized in affinity groups. So this is where we start. Now I'm going to demo the use of the bots. Is there anyone who would like to be like a product manager who is at the start of a new product or a new release so that I can actually use your idea to get help from the bots? If anybody is interested, let me know. Otherwise, I'm just going to use one of my ideas. It has to be someone who's unmuted, who's probably a co-host.
And everyone can come off mute now if they want to.
Okay. So if anyone is interested, you can let me know. Otherwise, in the interest of time, I'm just going to get started with one of my product ideas. All right, and I'm seeing some comments.
Could you, it looks like this is a browser. Could you just kind of Control plus up to make it? Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. All right. So in the interest of time, I'm just going to use one of my ideas. So let's say I want to build a product that, let's say that displays lead and lag. Let's say I want to build Agile metrics scoreboard SaaS product that displays lead and lag indicators to help the development teams maximize. Okay. So here we are using a generative AI bot as a brainstormer. So let's say you're a product manager, you've got a high level idea, you have a germ of an idea, and you want a sounding board. You want the sounding board to give you some suggestions. So I gave a question, very simple question prompt. I want to build a product. Here's what it does. And then you can see that this bot has given me some suggestions. You have some core features. It's given me about 8 high-level core features. It's telling me some differentiators, how to monetize it, what's my tech stack, so on. In the interest of time, I'm going to say this is good enough. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the another custom bot called the Vision Master. And what I'll do is I will ask it, it's automatically creating an elevator pitch for my product. So you can see it working. And it's created an elevator pitch in the crossing the chasm format for Agile product development teams who aim to align Agile practice outcomes with measurable impact. Agile Metrics Scoreboard is a SaaS product focusing on Agile metrics, provides real-time dashboards, custom metrics, actionable insights. Unlike project management tools, helps you maximize business value. So it created a vision statement. What I have found when I'm doing training, coaching, consulting, we would typically do this in some kind of a product management workshop. It might, depending on how many people you have, it might take from a few hours to a few days. And sometimes my clients know that these are the right practices to follow, but because of lack of time, lack of budget, there is a gap between what the client knows should be done and what the client is willing to do. And the answer very often is, yes, Ravi, I understand in the theoretical world, we should do all this. I just don't have time. And one of the benefits of generative AI is a workshop that might have taken hours or days. If we give this kind of a playbook to the product manager / product owner, they could get an MVP one of the artifacts, perhaps within a matter of few minutes, and then bring those artifacts to the team and stakeholders for refinement, as opposed to getting paralyzed by the complexity and the magnitude of doing this. So we have a starter elevator pitch. What improvements, if you were to improve this, what kind of improvement prompt would you give to make this elevator pitch better?
But make it shorter.
Make it shorter. Can you make it shorter? Let's say more conversational and more emotion. So we and as we are waiting, the most important thing is to realize that generative AI is garbage in, garbage out. And one of Don told me this. One of his colleagues said, the generative AI is like a very enthusiastic college intern that's got a lot of energy, but you probably wouldn't blindly trust everything that a college intern told you. So you've got to redirect the college intern if it's going off on a tangent. So what's more important than the original prompt is to critique the output of your original prompt and give it some improvement prompt so that you can redirect the bot in the direction that you want. So shorter elevator pitch, maybe with some kind of more emotional resonance. In the interest of time,
Hey,
what I'm
Ravi.
going to, yes.
Sorry, this is Vishal. Quick comment. So are you doing this at a point assuming that you've already done some sort of market research and you understand that, hey, this is what we want to do? All you're doing is refining the pitch?
Not making any assumptions. Our customers and our users have been from all over the spectrum. So some have been in the very early stages, haven't done any market research. And there have been others who already have well thought out, well researched ideas, and they are coming to the bot to validate or refine their ideas. But the product is
Okay.
making no assumptions.
The reason I ask is that, right, all of this, even if you look at what it generated right now, it's very, very generic language, so to
Yes.
speak. It's like
Yes.
high value and blah, blah. All of that is very, it's like, but how do you, I guess where I'm trying to figure, does it also then, are you also, like, is that you prompted for feature lists to say, hey, what will be the top features?
Yes. Yes. So I doubt that we'll have time today, but one of the things in our step-by-step roadmap, that's step 9, would be to say, can you give me a top 20 feature list that ties back to my value proposition canvas, my business model, and the pains and gains of my personas? But what you observed has been my experience that the bot very often will start with some very generic output, and it's a garbage in, garbage out bot. And I think that applies to generative AI in general. If the person using the bot does not have a perspective, does not have a unique perspective and some specific ideas on the specific niche that you want to focus on, then your results will be very underwhelming.
Right. And then to your point about, right, it's trying to represent personas, but if it doesn't have the universe of information from different personas in terms of their problems and challenges and so on and so forth, then
Yes,
how is it going to do a better job other than just, kind of doing generic stuff? So that's what
exactly.
I'm trying to figure out. Is that what you are thinking is a next step potentially for this bot, where it can kind of mimic certain personas and tell you what some
Yes,
of those problems might be?
yes, yes. So that's a next step. So let's say we have a good enough vision. Now remember, today we just have 30 minutes. So it's not possible in 30 minutes. This is a 2-day workshop, 2 to 3 day workshop. So it's not possible to do justice to it. My intent today is just to give you a flyby in terms of how you may use generative AI in product management. And if you want to have a more detailed conversation, then we would have to have an offline. So
That
let's
sounds right.
imagine, yeah. So let's imagine that we did some brainstorming. We came up with a high-level vision statement, and now we are ready to dive into personas. So, in the interest of time, these personas are very, very time-consuming. So, let's say I just say, please create the three most important personas. Which reminds me, actually, I forgot to give my, let me go back 1 second. We didn't come up with names for the product. Can you suggest 5 unique quirky names for my product? And we've tried looking for names which have available domain names. That's not possible. But we've got a bunch of names. Any name appeal to anyone? If this was your product, which one would you pick? We've got Scrum Pulse, Agilify, Metric Muse, Value Stream X, Dashley. Number 4, Amanda is saying number 4, let's use value stream X product name. Okay, so we're going to use value stream as the product name. All right. The elevator pitch has been updated. Let's go to the persona builder. Please create the 3 most important personas for value stream X. Ensuring the diversity in age, gender, ethnicity, and religion. Let's see what happens. A persona creation takes some time. While that's happening, I'm going to try a feature called syncing to playbook. So one of the features that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. One of the features that ResumeX is trying to create is to have almost like a mural or a confluence page where all of your artifacts are linked together so that when your team is doing any work, there is traceability between the work that they're doing and the high level vision. This product this product playbook is in the work, so it's not fully finished, but some of the artifacts are present here, some are not. So as you will see, the elevator pitch has now been updated over here on the online playbook. Okay, so let me go back to the persona builder. So there was a bug. I had to refresh it. I'm going to wait for it to finish, then I'm going to scroll up. Please create images for each persona. Okay, while it's creating the images, let me give you a sneak peek.
I've gotten super unlucky.
Isaac, anything you want to share? All right, so let me scroll up. So persona 1, pragmatic product owner, name is Leela Ahmed. Got a quotation here, demographics, personal and professional profiles, skills, challenges, pain points. I'm sorry, it got replaced because it's creating some images. So it created some images. This is Leela, the product owner. This is Marcus, the agile coach. Ravi, the scrum master. And then if you scroll up, I'll just take one example to show you what kind of content is there in each persona. So you have a tagline, you have a quote, you have the demographics, personal professional profiles, skills, challenges and pain points, roles and responsibilities, traits, motivations, background, what's a day in the life for the scrum master, and some kind of a scenario in terms of how this person might use the product. Okay, let me pause here. What might this do if your product owner / product manager could come up with something like this? How might this impact your ability to deliver value? Or think about a certain context that you may have been, where the new release was starting out, and this may or may not have been present. Any reactions? And I'm seeing some comments here. Naming is interesting. It would be helpful to fine-tune the model to incorporate research into the effects of product names. Most of the names were descriptive. Okay, so you're talking about product names. Sorry, I thought you were talking about persona names. Are you able to suggest personas? Yes, we can suggest a persona. So for example, Amanda, if you wanted to, we could take it for a test drive right now. So we could say, can you add a persona for, and then if you tell me type of persona, then I can enter it. We can take it for a test drive. or we can move on to the next step, our playbook. World War II. And what role would that person be playing in the context of this product? So let's say it's an agile product development team.
My guess is
Technology adopt.
probably a board member.
Okay, I got one is a technology adopter. So let's say for William, World War II. Horrible spelling, company using So yes, the short answer to Amanda's question is yes, you can suggest personas. Hopefully you will, because the product, you cannot relinquish these crucial activities to a generic AI bot. The job of the AI bot is to do things which might be monotonous and time consuming, which can be done faster. You cannot outsource the strategic thinking to the AI bot. It might pleasantly surprise you, but it must complement your strategic thinking and use it to just do the tactical stuff, which it can do faster, better, cheaper than a human being. Okay.
Hey, Ravi, one of the
Yes.
things that I find interesting with this is, I mean, I agree 100% with your point. If you have to have some level of wisdom, experience, choose your right term, to like sort of know what good looks like in a lot of this. What I found is like sometimes it's the writer's block, like just getting sort of the first
Yes.
is helpful to have something like this. And I work with another, actually somebody who is a fellow executive on the security side, AppSec, and he always started. He said, "Give him something to hate." And there's an Amazon leadership principle that talks about like, leaders seek to disconfirm, their own beliefs, and it's like you start with something that encourages conversation, encourages like thinking, and then it's kind of like, I think if you have that level of experience, wisdom, choose your term, then you can start shaping some of the other things, and like you're doing right now, then you can sort of refine some of these ideas and say, oh yeah, you're right, like you use that word surprise, this surprised me, i i I had forgotten about that, or this is complete nonsense, and just
Yes.
discard it, kind of thing. And that just helps refine those ideas, and gets the process started. So it seems valuable, at the very least in that regard.
Yes. And I want to amplify what Matt is saying. Most of my time, my lived experience has been I go and I deliver some product management training, PSP, or some workshop. And then in the class, we're using a hypothetical case study, and the students are, man, I love this. And they're excited. And we are talking about something like video games for prisons or something bizarre, and everybody's laughing. And they go back to the work, and I check in with them after a few weeks. So, how's it going? Are you able to use any of the things we learned, or which of the things? They're like, man, I'm so busy. I made sense in class. I asked them, why aren't you doing it? I got paralyzed. And so sometimes when you get paralyzed, what Matt is saying makes sense, where someone else comes up with the blank canvas is paralyzing you, but then someone else comes and paints something on the canvas, and you get a visceral reaction. Like, are you kidding me? This is BS. Great. How can we make it less BSy? Or you might say, yeah, I think this resonates. We are onto something. So if you have a client where people are paralyzed, and then you get to sprint planning, and one day before sprint planning, the product owner or product manager is freaking out, and then just putting the backlog, filling it up with garbage, so they don't feel the pressure of showing up for a sprint planning and there is nothing to work on. This could be a flawed tool that can help avoid that paralysis. So I just agree with what Matt was saying. Okay, so let's imagine we've got these personas. Now that we have some personas, let's go to the jobs to be done for these personas. So we can say prompt. Can you identify the jobs to be done for each persona and display them in a tabular format? So the benefit of something like this is many times when I'm training, coaching, consulting, the backlog is just a bunch of features, and we lose empathy because there is no traceability between the feature and the pains and gains of a human being. And so people are busy designing, coding, testing items without realizing who is the human being whose life is going to be better when we deliver this to the market. And when we don't have that empathy, when we get locked into conflicts, they can be adversarial conflicts because it's your idea versus my idea, as opposed to us standing shoulder to shoulder, looking at our ideal customers and users with love and empathy and trying to ask these different options that we are evaluating, which of these options or features or designs, architecture, test cases, which will serve our customers and users the best? Which specific job are we trying to address? And which of our options will help them do their job better? So that's how a technique like jobs to be done might help. I'm curious, how many of you are able currently are using some practice, similar practice, which can tie the work that is being done on a day-to-day basis to a pain or a gain of a human being who is the beneficiary of your product or service? How many of you are doing this? What might be possible if you could do it?
We have done some of the jobs to be done. What we find that is a little bit challenging is getting agreement on like this. Sometimes we get too specific on the job to be done, or we get to the point where we're having conversations about, well, that persona has this job to be done, which is way different than that person's persona, even though they have the same job title, and getting to the point where we have this huge list of jobs to be done, but which ones do we pick? Which ones have the most meaningful, immediate value?
Yeah. And that's where having an overarching product goal might help. So if we say everything is important, nothing is important, which of these might help us get closest to our shared product vision or make the most progress towards our shared product goal? One other technique, complementary technique that I have found useful is if we go do user interviews. So if you use a framework like design thinking, if you have a trained UX researcher, and if you can identify, let's say, 4 to 5 personas, representative personas, and then go interview 5 people who cover a diverse cross-section of your ideal user base, the user feedback might help break some of those conflicts or ties. Okay. All right, I'm being mindful of time. We just have about maybe 10 minutes. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way. Where do we go next? Let's say we've done some research on the personas. It's good enough for now. And let's see if we can create a business model. Or before I do that, let me see what might be the single most important measurable goal that will tell me if my product is successful. So this is about metrics. How will you know that you are being successful, you delivered what you wanted to deliver? Customer adoption. So it's giving me a bunch of suggestions: customer success, customer adoption, and retention rate, engagement, business value, impact. Okay. Let me say, can you suggest a 12-month target for this metric? If you have a target, you're guaranteed to be wrong. Failure is a guarantee when you're doing complex, unpredictable work. The hope is not that we don't fail. The hope is that we fail fast, we learn fast, and we adapt fast. The biggest failure is the failure to learn and adapt. So if you have some kind of a target, you can adjust it, and now you can compare your leading and lagging indicators, the actual versus targets. Now this was, let's say the target is saying at least 60% of your Agile team customers report measurable improvement within 6 months of adoption. It's like 15 minutes can save you 15% or more on your insurance, something like that. So can you suggest leading indicators with 12-month targets that can help us achieve our So the difference between leading and lagging indicators is lagging indicators is the final score when the game is over. Very easy to tell whether you won or lost the game, but it's impossible to change the outcome of the game. Leading indicators are indicators you can manage while the game is still being played to increase the probability of winning the game. So here it's given some leading indicators with 12-month targets, and then it's given some rationale. So we started having some kind of metrics. And now I can say, can you create a lean canvas for my product? This might be the last step that I can demo today because of time constraints, and then I'll start closing this conversation. I'm seeing some comments here from Matt while we're waiting.
Nothing worth disrupting the conversation.
All right. Okay. So it's creating a lean canvas. Let's say for today, that's enough. Sync to the playbook. So I'm going to see if I can sync the personas to the playbook. I did it. Oh, lean canvas, wrong tab. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the playbook. This part is buggy, so I don't know if it's going to work or not. So this is kind of like a Confluence / Mural kind of a tool where there's a one-stop shop where your team members can go back and forth all the way, maybe from a user story up to the lean canvas, up to the persona, the jobs to be done, and the vision to make sure that you are not just coding Jira tickets, which are unconnected to the business model or the pain or gain of human beings. Okay, so we have approached the time where I think I need to pivot to talking about risks and risk management. So I'm going to show you, let's see, a complete, so a finished playbook, just so you can get a sense for what it looks like. Let me see if I can do it.
Amanda had a question.
Yes.
Why
Amanda?
stealth mode? Was there a reason?
Oh, why is it in stealth? I have so many different user IDs that I had to open. So when I was doing the preparation for this, I was in one browser, I have one user ID, and then I had to clean it and start a different user ID. So there is no technical reason for being in stealth mode. It's just for me to keep my different user IDs separate.
Was that the question, Amanda?
All right.
Okay.
So, so here's, I'm going to see if I can pull up. So I want to show you, let's say, the PDF version. I know the font is small, but let's see if I can. So this is an example of, maybe I'll show it. Should we go to it? Single page view. So this is an example of a finished playbook. And the reason I'm sharing this is, imagine you were working on a product development team. And perhaps within a few hours, your product owner / product manager came to the team with a starter version of this playbook. Something to start the conversation, something to critique, maybe play a game like Perfection Game. How might that impact what happens next in a new product or a new release? Okay, so we have the product vision, We have the product goal, metrics, some leading and lag indicators. This is using a logic model. So you have metrics for the development activities. You have metrics for product releases, output, customer outcomes, business impacts. These are financial metrics. You have empathy maps, you have personas, you can see the personas and so on. And then if you scroll down, this will have your jobs to be done. It has your lean canvas, a whole bunch of stuff. Jobs to be done, lean canvas, and so on. So I think the closing thought I want to leave you with when it comes to this part of our meetup today is what are you taking away in terms of how generative AI can make life easy for a product manager at the start of a new release? How might this impact the flow of value if a product manager could come up with a starter strategy playbook, perhaps within a few hours? What are your thoughts? What might be useful? What might not be useful?
It's a quick way to generate stuff for your customers and stakeholders to react to. So it's a place to start.
It's a good place to start. Thank you, Jonathan. And if you are thinking of, okay, there's a big emphasis on, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, I was saying that it's also a good place to critique what you're thinking in your mind, see what the bot supports, what the bot says, and what you have in your mind, so that it acts as a critic for your thoughts.
Yes. And one of the concerns is, so maybe, yeah, so mixed feeling. There are risks and there are also some rewards. So what are some things that can go wrong? We just have a few minutes, so I want to be respectful of your time. I'm just going to zoom through this. So one of the risks is efficiency thinking versus effectiveness thinking. So you want to get faster, better, cheaper at delivering a lot of features, a lot of widgets. You could actually get faster, better, cheaper at delivering things that your customers don't care about. You got to watch out for that. You could actually end up putting some proprietary information into the LLM. You could expose trade secrets, even customer information that you shouldn't be. There could be bias. So for example, when I was using the bot for user stories, I got a lot of so-called user stories, which was like design user story, architecture user story, coding user story, testing user story. So don't blindly believe everything that the bot says, because the bot is probably trained on whatever exists on the internet. And if there is a lot of bias in the internet, then the bot will bring that bias into your suggestions. So you got to watch out for that. There could be anchoring. So the Emiliano says, this might be related to what Emiliano said. We might abandon our ability to be creative because we may get lazy. We may just believe everything that the bot says, and there's no room for creativity. Then what's the difference between you and any other competitor? If you have outsourced all the creative thinking to a bot and the competitor has access to the bot, you're just making the same damn thing. So it can anchor. So how do you manage that? I'll come to that in a moment. You could end up making commoditized products, because if everybody's got access to pretty much the same LLMs and they are blindly implementing what the LLM tells them to, what's the difference? You could also get overwhelmed because you saw in 2 minutes, it generated so many ideas. So you may switch from being paralyzed by a blank canvas to paralyzed by an overwhelming canvas, which has so much detail that you don't know what to do with it. And finally, it could be very robotic. You are blindly, thank you, Jonathan, you are blindly doing whatever the bot is trying to tell you to do. So what are the risk management techniques? Focus on effectiveness and empathizing with customers and users instead of just cranking out more and more features. Make sure you're monitoring, looking at the contracts and policies when with regards to safety and confidentiality. Please don't use, at least for ChatGPT, a free version of ChatGPT, because everything you're putting in is probably going to be used by OpenAI to train the model. At least get a team account. Have a diverse team. So if there are biases that the model has, your diverse team can bring diversity of thinking and correct for the balances. Another possibility to avoid the brain rot from not having to think is, don't go to the model first. Go to your team first. See what your team comes up with. and then go to the model to see if it can make your team's ideas better, as opposed to the other way around. So that's one way of guarding. Remember that the best intelligence, I call it, is generative community intelligence. No one is smarter than your community. And your community complemented with generative AI is probably better than generative AI. So do not underestimate the wisdom of your team. When things get overwhelming, use the goal. Use the goal and ask the model to say, I'm overwhelmed. Which of these is the next best step so that we can achieve our goal? And be empirical. Release something to the market. The market will tell you what's working, what's not working. Learn, adapt, rinse and repeat. So most important thing, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Generative AI will help you get into the ditch faster, better, cheaper. And no generative AI is better than generative AI plus generative CI, your team intelligence, community intelligence. If you disagree, you've got a hiring problem, you've got an inspiring problem, or you've got a firing problem. So I'm going to leave you with that. If you have any questions, I could take a couple of questions. If this resonated, you want to continue the conversation, connect with me on LinkedIn or on the Agile Austin Slack channel, and I will be happy to schedule more conversations offline. So we have a few more minutes. So Matt, I apologize if I exceeded the time box. If you have some closing comments, then I can stop sharing and you can help us wrap this up.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ravi. That was great. I think we had more interactive conversations in the chat window than we've had at many, most, or all of the previous ones. So it was an interesting way to see the interactivity happen today. And thanks to everybody who did. So yeah, I want to thank you. And then Emiliano has raised his hand. So let's open up for questions, and we can take another 10 minutes here if folks have time. Otherwise, feel free to drop.
Yeah, thanks, Ravi. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everyone, for putting this on. I think this is a really good showcase and discussion. One of the things I was just thinking right now, in the way that it was so simple to produce kind of the initial starter set of information, would it not be potentially also equally as valuable to have a contrarian point of view, to actually put that same level of, here are all of our postmortem of why we failed, or all of the risks that we see? Because I think the challenge here is, it feels a lot of times when people look for high fidelity mockups, and there's like a fidelity fallacy. So I think this is where what feels dangerous is that if you're willing to skip doing the critical thinking at the beginning,
Yes.
how are you thinking that giving people more information faster is really addressing part of the root cause? And so it feels like there might be something more around intentionally creating the risks or the uncertainty that we should have, and naming that. If you're going to name the solution, then maybe naming that as well as part of the process.
I love that. I hadn't thought of that. So may I play back what I think you said, because I want to learn and improve. Are you suggesting that we ask the model to name the uncertainties, and then to validate that the suggestions or challenge the model to then say, okay, how is this suggestion going to manage these uncertainties? Is that the suggestion?
Yeah, and I think it's, each of these different agents have different levels of risk or different levels of concern. And so I think again, it's like laying that out. It's kind of like, here's the great things of what we think it could work. Here are all of the potential blind spots, biases, or things. And, what are the things? Because the question that I really wonder now is, and you touched upon it as like, what are we gaining if we're just doing a better job of delivering features that people don't want? Well, if the speed of the cycle is getting the feedback and the testing, and like we're doing that in a day or 2 days instead of 2-3 weeks, and we're still able to figure out the right kind of level of cost and iterate to then what is going to be the right thing, then that's super valuable. But if we're not doing the testing and the observation and tracking business metrics, then again, all we're doing is we're still building without actually having figured out what was meaningful. And so I think that's where the speed can be really critical and to an advantage, but it still has to be then learnings that get translated into, we then did figure it out.
Yes, I feel that I like what Scrum does is it controls your risk exposure in terms of number of dollars of payroll that is at risk, or number of days, or reputation.
The bet.
So if you go and say, hey, I'm not willing to burn more than 1 week's payroll or 2 weeks payroll, well, then you got to make sure that you get some market feedback before you burn more money.
Yeah.
So I think these two things can be complementary. You can deliver more stuff, but then you've got to then reduce your risk exposure by shortening the feedback loop as well. And I feel that most people who I see are intoxicated by things like vibe coding. I'm not hearing a counter or a balancing message to say, yes, we can get a lot of output, but it's also important to get empirical feedback about outcomes. And
Yeah.
that second part, when I look at my LinkedIn feed, I'm not seeing the second part. So that's an important risk management technique. Roger?
Yeah, the conversation here has been really thought-provoking. And it's led me to this idea that maybe the way to address a lot of these different issues is to have agents participating in a team conversation on these components of the playbook. So instead of sort of just kind of sequentially going through the playbook and having the AI generate content, what if there was a normal team conversation with real people having, plus some number of AI agents that could insert themselves and express their opinions and ideas.
I think that would be my dream scenario, instead of a product manager being in isolation and coming up with this, or maybe MVP 1 is that, but my dream workshop would be, we have a Zoom session or something similar, but now team members are going on breakout sessions with an AI agent. And now you have the team intelligence plus the generative AI, and together that could be a pretty powerful agent or LLM, especially if we educate our team members to be critical and not to blindly believe everything that the model says, because the model can bullshit very confidently. I've seen it happen. So if we educate our team and say, you are our best superpower, and please critique what the model says, we can do some pretty amazing things. Thank you, Roger. Perhaps time for 1 or 2 more questions, and then we will wrap. While we are seeing if there's any question, let me give you my contact information. So I work at Org Whisperers. You have the QR code. My website is orgwhisperers.com. If you want, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And if you want to have a more detailed conversation, happy to chat with you. Maybe 1 or 2 last questions before we wrap up this session.
Well, that's a question which I'm curious of how much does this feel bespoke to what you guys have coded, and like kind of like the effort of that versus like I haven't done a full playbook. I've asked certain pieces of this functionality to Claude and ChatGPT. So maybe they're more of just the process of starting to actually kind of bring together this playbook, and how much fine tuning or refinement has gone in as you guys have exercised it more.
So we have been refining our agent. So this is using, our agents are built, or let's say Resumex agents are built using OpenAI APIs. So we have been fine tuning this for 1 year, and we have a whole bunch of Agile trainers, coaches, consultants like me who've been delivering these classes. And then our students come and say, hey, this didn't resonate. Why don't you try this prompt? So we've been refining our prompts for the last 1 year. And we've got probably, I don't know, I've lost track of how many trainers we have, maybe 6 to 10 trainers. And based on the crowdsourced wisdom of our trainers and all the people who have attended our workshops, we've been training our bots. But I would encourage you to come up, if this doesn't resonate, I would encourage you to come up with your own playbook, use any LLM that works for you. And my only request is keep the risks that I mentioned in mind, and try to come up with some risk management techniques. And you're also welcome to, the course that we offer the course in 2 formats. One is a self-paced pre-recorded video course. So if you want, you can do a side-by-side comparison. You can purchase our course. You can take the same prompts and give it to Claude or Gemini or whoever else, or ChatGPT and our bots, and see what works, and then choose whatever product works best for you. Okay. All right.
All right. Ravi, thank you once again. Thanks for staying for a
Thank
few minutes. Thanks, everybody here. We couldn't have this kind of conversation and sort of generative ideas like Roger was saying. It's like just sort of being here in the moment, taking a break causes us to think about things in a different way, even if it's not this content. It's like it's interesting to see some of the other kind of ideas kind of emerge from this, and it couldn't happen without everybody here. So
Thank you.
really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you, Ravi, for joining us today. And we will see everybody in about a month.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Have a great day, great weekend, end of the quarter, end of the month. I'll stop recording.